I stole a BMW. Now I'm in trouble too. Okay, a story behind that one. Aside from that whole fucking drug trafficking operation, we also had another, I guess, side hustle. My crew, and it was anything to do with cars. At the time, we were stealing cars, tagging cars, stealing rims, whatever you could do with a car. My boys were doing. Um, and at that time, late '90s, nobody was able to do it like us because you could not steal a Benz or a BMW back then unless you had a fucking key because they were chipped now and you couldn't crack a fucking column of a Benz to drive away. It ain't working. You need to have either a key or a tow truck. So we opted for the key and we were able to do it through through some like fraudulent forged paperwork, titles and shit like that, and ordering the keys. It's very simple the way it happened, but it was also leaving us open to get busted. And so this one night, I needed money bad, and me and Will was out looking for a car, and I spotted a restaurant, which is like I said, you needed a key to get a nice car. So what I did is just walk into the restaurant where like usually the payphone was there, and they had a key box where the valets kept the keys. You just look real quick while you're on the phone, see like a Benz or Beamer key, snatch it. Now you just drive around up and down the blocks, you know, using the whatever it's called, the fob or key, and found it. And this shit was brand fucking new. Didn't even have 4,000 miles on it. Uh, and we took it, and we took it up to Omar had this connect, this Russian gangster up in Lake Erie, Pennsylvania, that was buying all his tag Beamers and Benzes. So he told him, yo, we just got this shit fresh. And he's like, bring it. So 7 hour fucking drive. We brought that shit up there. And I knew I was getting jerked on the money. I was only getting like 4 grand. But honestly, I didn't care. I needed cash that week. And so we get up there and then we meet this dude, this big fucking like Russian gangster looking dude, brown leather jacket, and gold rings. And Omar goes off and does the business with him. I'm just sitting in his car for like 20 minutes and he comes back and he's like, yo, dude he wants to meet you, meaning me, and he wants us to go sit down to dinner. He wants to sit down and talk about some other stuff that he's interested in. And I was like, this is bad. Oh, this is not, well, what are we doing? I was like, let's just get out of here. But he needed to go. So we went. And little did I know, little did Omar know at the time, this motherfucker was a CI, confidential informant, for the feds the whole time. So that whole walk to the restaurant was feds in the parking lot taking pictures, video. They had video of us in the fucking restaurant. He wanted to go for a ride in one of the cars one of the buggy eye Benzes that Omar had sold him. So he gets us in there and he's talking about, first it was like drugs, and I was trying to push him away from that because we didn't, obviously didn't need any more partners. These motherfuckers were pulling in millions of dollars. So then he starts talking about girls. And I didn't realize it at first, but I think he was talking about like sex trafficking because I was like, what do you mean? Like prostitutes, like girls, like, I was like, what do you mean? Like prostitutes? And he's like, yeah, yeah. And I was like, well, I was like, what are you going to do with that? I said, my friend's stepfather, Frankie Flowers, runs an escort service, which he did. I used to work for him. But, all he did was he'd supply the ride and the security and, they'd split the money for the call. But I think he was trying to get at like some sex trafficking shit, which that's no bueno for us. We have nothing to do with that. So anyway, they had audio in the car. We drove around 15 minutes and I didn't want to talk anymore. Omar knew it. I was like, let's just call this a fucking night. He was getting pissed. And, he wasn't getting anything. The feds wanted more, but they weren't getting anything from us. And yeah, that's the way that night went. We left. Little did we know that was all recorded, that we were being followed the whole time by all kinds of federal agents. And the next time Omar went up to meet this dude, Um, like 10 or 12 different cars came around from like different angles. They did the shit like so theatrical, and it was each one of the cars was a car that he tagged and sold to them, and it was a federal agent driving each one. So all the Benzes, all the BMWs, all the fucking Acuras, and they all like surrounded him in his shit. I don't know what that was all about or who that was for, but that's the way it went down. And yeah, that Russian gangster was the one who set the whole thing up and stole a BMW. Now I'm in trouble too. Feds got my picture with Omar and some other dude.